We have none, Mr Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. Declarations of interest. You all should understand this, but particularly for new councillors, and I know we address a lot of things to new councillors, but it's to try and make sure you know the rules, basically, and don't feel disadvantaged. Basically, if there's something coming up that you think that you have some interest in that we ought to know about, and it may alter the way you think or the way you vote, then you've got an obligation on you to declare it. So if there is anything that comes up that you know is coming up, you should declare it now. If at any time in the meeting something comes up and you suddenly think, I ought to declare an interest, then you basically put your hand up and declare it as soon as you can. So, is there any declarations of interest before we start the meeting? None at all. OK, thank you. Minutes of the council meeting. This is to confirm the minutes of the annual meeting of Tavistock Town Council held on Tuesday the 16th of May.
Move the minutes, Mr Mayor.
OK, do we have a seconder for that? Yeah. OK, all in favour, yes. Thank you. Matters arising. Town Clerk, I think you want to say something about the council vacancies, please.
Yes, just to update members in relation to the last meeting. Since the meeting, we have taken advice from West Devon Borough Council and the Electoral Commission, and are advised that, technically speaking, for the vacancy which arose in the North Ward, it is necessary for us to place an advert to invite members of the public, should they wish to do so, or electors, I should say, of that ward, should they wish to do so, to call an election through the returning officer. That advert was placed last week. So what we will now do is we will align the co-option with the timing of that advert, so that in the event an election is called, we will proceed with the co-option in the other vacancy in the South West Ward. In the event that an election isn't called, the two co-options will proceed together. South East Ward, sorry, thank you very much. So that way we will align them whichever way it goes.
Okay. Any other matters arising? Any other questions? Councillor Mann?
I know that you did download the video that was updated so that you could use it. Did you manage to get that uploaded to the website?
Not at this stage, but I'll get it done.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Public representations and questions. Do we have any, Town Clerk?
None were received, sir.
Okay, thank you. General Finance, 5A, Schedule of Payments. Have you all had a chance to look at these figures? I've been... Councillor Sellis is trying to tell me something important.
I'm sorry, Mr Mayor. This lady here is a member of the public, and she didn't realise that she had to submit a question. That was all. I don't know whether you'd indulge or
Do you want to answer?
We can provide the information to her if she leaves her contact details about how you actually contact the office and the advance notice that's required in order to be able to submit a question to the council, if that's agreeable.
I did. Sorry, I don't know.
It's all right, no.
That's all right.
You may not have the definitive answer.
I've got half an answer, sir. We did have a conversation in the street. I did suggest that you put your views in writing, in which case we'd have taken it forwards.
Yes.
I think there's a number of questions that you've actually got within there. And what I would say is, by all means, stay for the meeting, because some of the issues around matters such as the works to Market Road, the Town Hall, those sorts of things will be picked up. But I think if there are any requests, particularly if they're requests for and on behalf of the business community, the suggestion would be that you take them forward either through the bid or the Chamber of Commerce, or ideally, if there is consensus between them, both. That way we know that it's the business community as a whole that's speaking. Doesn't prevent you from putting forward requests as an individual or as an individual business, but if you wish to represent the interests of that community, I would suggest that if you do it in that way, we can look at those as they arise. But certainly there are reports in the General Manager's report around Market Road, around the Town Hall works and around those. I know that there's been some communications from the media today in relation to timelines and proposed impacts on that, and I know that they're liaising with the Works Department in relation to contract timelines and what may happen around that. So hopefully there will be more information both through a press release in relation to, or a media item in relation to that, and also coming out of the reports which are later on today. And if you're able to stay, I think what we'll do is we'll try and make sure that we do cover off some of the areas that you've talked about from that side of things. Things like seating, though, I think that's very much about putting in specific requests, explaining the rationale behind that and whether you're talking permanent, temporary, and how that would fit in within a vision for the town more widely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I just wanted to say, I just I am still on some of those very specific individual benches with we did talk here about the consequences of that that's separate, but more benches talking about where to go. Photos and images. So if there's a general consensus about where we can sit, we can bring that conversation forward for
Thank you very much. So going back to our meeting, we now have standing orders again. Schedule of payments, consider endorse the monthly accounts. Have you all had a chance to look at it? Everybody happy with it? Yes, so that's been endorsed. Then we go to the budget monitoring report. There's two reports here. There's the phased budget monitoring report as of the 31st of March, which is the financial year end. So let's talk about that one first. Is there any comments, thoughts, people happy with it? Okay. Councillor Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are these the final figures at 10 o'clock, or are there some adjustments to be made on that? There are still some adjustments to be made.
The final figures will be as reflected in the accounts as prepared by your accountant, but these will be substantially the final figures.
Okay, so we're happy to endorse those? Yes? Yes? Yeah. So we'll endorse those, and then we have the enclosed accounts for the 30th of April. Any questions, thoughts on that one? No, so we'll endorse those as well. Thank you. Budget and Policy Committee. Councillor Ward has been elected the chairman for this council year, so can you present the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to present the minutes of the Budget and Policy Committee meeting of the 23rd of May. 25, election of a chairman. You can see who that was. 26, election of vice chairman, Councillor Mann. 27, apologies for absence. 28, confirmation of minutes. 29, declarations of interest. 30, Service Plans and Organisational Risk Register 2023-24, little a, Community Services Plan 23-24, there is a recommendation that, subject to the addition of reference to the Environment Act 2021 to the list of legal requirements at section 1.6, Tavistock Town Council adopt the Commercial Community Service Improvement Plan 2023-24.
Thank you. Does anybody want to say anything about that? No? Do we have a proposal then, please? Councillor Ewing. Seconder, Councillor Mann. All those in favour, please?
Carried.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. 30B, Corporate Service Plan 23-24 and Organisational Risk Register. Again, there is a recommendation following from this. Recommended that, subject to the amendment of the 14th bullet point as listed in the legal requirements section to include the words to follow as amended by the Environment Act 2021, and the addition of a TC in the responsible officer column of the project listed as planning for the future, Tavistock Council endorse and adopt the Corporate Service Plan as the basis for the delivery of council services.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Debate? Councillor Hipsey.
There we go. Mr Mayor, just a question on the risk register, if I may. Item C6, Charlie 6, effectiveness of communication. The risk is that the systems and resources are not in place at member level to debate or discuss differences and resolve disagreements with the other two authorities. I'm assuming we are referring to West Devon Borough Council and Devon County Council there. Also, to manage bad and negative news which may damage the council's reputation amongst the public, employees and other stakeholders. I note that the requirement is for an immediate response to that in the table on page 28. But in fact the established finishing date is ongoing. Is that, do those two facts actually marry together? It seems to me that if we've got an immediate requirement and it's ongoing, then there's something a bit weird.
No, it's a fair point, Councillor Hipsey. The background to that particular wording of that risk was a particularly difficult planning matter of a strategic nature with the Borough Council, which caused some challenges in terms of the working relationship. There was immediate action in terms of seeking to repair those bridges with the Borough Council and to work with them to find a common set of understandings in relation to that planning matter. I think probably it's fair to say that to a degree, and colleagues will advise if I'm wrong, that we did agree to differ to a certain degree in relation to that. The ongoing component is actually about what we can do going forwards in order to avoid a similar situation arising again. So I think both are a fair reflection of what has happened and what has needed to happen, but there is definitely an ongoing piece of work in terms of building relationships back together, and clearly coming in now after an election for both authorities, we do have an opportunity to work together in order to do that, and across a range of areas where there are common interests, because I think in fairness there are far more things which bind us together in terms of how we represent and serve our communities than there are things which separate us. That was just one particularly difficult issue. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's a very useful and clear comment on that problem. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, so a proposer for that recommendation, please. Councillor Ewing. Seconder, please. Councillor Hipsey. All in favour, please show.
Carried.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. In relation to risk management, another recommendation recommended that, subject to the following amendments to the Organisational Risk Register: 1, C0, the severity score being reduced from 5 to 3. 2, C1, the severity score being reduced from 4 to 3. 3, C4, the severity score being reduced from 5 to 4. And 4, C6, the addition of reference to the neighbourhood development plan to reflect reputational damage that might occur should progress fail. So the recommendation is the Court Council endorse and adopt the Tavistock Town Council Organisational Risk Register.
Questions? Do I have a proposer, please, then? Councillor Ward. Seconder, please. Councillor Mann. All in favour, please?
Carried.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
31. Environment and Sustainability. There is a recommendation that Tavistock Town Council support the approach as set out in the briefing note, noted that the General Manager undertook to introduce as a new project a review of the options available for renewable energy measures in the Commercial Community Service Plan 24-25. This would include a review of the Council's vehicle fleet.
Thank you. Any questions, debate? Okay, proposer, please. Councillor Ward. Seconder, please. Councillor Moody. All in favour, please show. Thank you.
32. Rolling Capital Programme. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council endorse and adopt the Rolling Capital Programme as submitted and the accompanying approach as outlined in the briefing note.
Thank you. Thoughts, questions? No. Proposer, please. Councillor Ewing. Seconder, please. Councillor Barry-Smith. All in favour, please.
Carried.
Thank you.
Items circulated for information only. 33. Town Hall and Museum. Outcome of tender exercises for the conduct of repairs to the building. 34. Bannerwell Play Area. Urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the Chairman. That brought forward 35. Local Government Pay Award 2023-24. And that completes the minutes relevant to items considered in the open session.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Ward. Right, Development Management and Licensing Committee, and the chairman this year is Councillor Barry-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Executive Development Management and Licensing Committee on the 18th of April this year. 455, apologies for absence. 456, confirmation of minutes. 457, declarations of interest. 458, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 459, town planning issues. 460, general correspondence. 461, neighbourhood development planning. 462, urgent business called forward at the discretion of the chairman. 463, planning decisions and applications. Little a is planning decisions. Little b is new planning applications. And the recommendation is that the views of the Town Council is listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you.
464, next meeting.
Okay, shall we just do that recommendation? Proposer, please. Councillor Venning, seconder. Councillor Ward, all in favour, please. Thank you.
Okay. The next one is the DMNL committee on 27th of May. First one, number 13, this is a new year, election chairman, which was myself. Election of vice chairman, which was Trevor Monroe here. Number 15, apologies for absence. Number 16, confirmation of minutes.
Just 1 second. Councillor Ewings, please.
Just on declarations of interest, I'm not sure if a councillor in here realises that her partner's application is in here and she should declare it. And I wouldn't normally say it because we shouldn't to someone else, but she may not know.
I did see that, but it says not placed before Tavistock Town Council for consideration, so I thought that didn't...
Would it still count? It would if you lived there.
We'll take
It's best to over-declare
Yes.
than
Okay.
under-declare.
Over-declare, and
Okay.
if it's obviously wrong, we'll be advised and say you really don't need to do that.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. But totally understandable that, so don't worry.
Proceed, isn't it?
Yes, please.
Right. Number 16, probably after this up now, confirmation of minutes. Second, 17 declarations of interest. ET, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 19 town planning issues. 20 general correspondence. 21 neighbourhood development planning. 22 urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. 23 planning decisions. A is planning decisions made, and B, new planning applications. A recommendation that the views of the town councillors listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a proposer for that recommendation? Councillor Venning. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Munro. Thank you. All in favour?
Carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. Service reports. Received for information the following service reports. General Manager's report. You should all have read that. Are there any questions or observations to the General Manager, please? Councillor Hipsey.
Draw your attention to the statement about Market Road retaining wall, which I think our guest is interested in. So this is bullet 3. I wonder if we can just have a little bit of clarification, please, on the likely timing of this. I saw today a letter it appeared to be from the contractor to the bid company, which I can't reconcile it with these dates here. So I wonder if it's possible just to have a brief summary of exactly when Market Road is likely to be closed to traffic, please.
Hopefully it should reconcile, because I wrote it. But basically that letter has been circulated to all the tenants that are affected, backing onto Market Road, also residential properties which are on the other side of Dolvin Road, close to the works, and for everyone around the Pannier Market perimeter. I also forwarded it on to bid to circulate to all the bid levy payers. That's why you've probably seen that one now, as in come through from Janice Sanders. In relation to the timings, they've taken possession of the site as of today. Harris fencing went up this morning, so the whole site is secure. They've got deliveries this week for effectively 220 tonne of stone for the cofferdam works. Welfare unit being delivered tomorrow, I think. And in relation to the road closure element of it, the road closures start next Monday, and it's between the times of 8 AM and 4:30 from Monday to Friday. Hopefully, if we can get the works done within 4 days, it will only be the first 4 days, but we've allowed a whole week for a day's contingency. That basically is obviously for the building of the cofferdam. So pre and post those hours, the road will be reopened to be used as part of the traffic network. There is a diversion route for the period which it's closed, which will be signposted going across Vigo Bridge and back on yourself. And we have agreed with the Devon County Council officer, it's a private road so we can do what we want basically, but we've agreed a system which will accommodate visitors in relation to deliveries and also traders needing to unload and load during periods of time when the road is actually closed as well, where effectively we're reversing the one-way system. So that's for next week. There is also a period which I can't give you the dates at the moment, but there will be probably a 3-day period where the road will be reclosed to lift 120 tonne of stone back out to the river, but that is going to be driven basically by when the contract finishes. So at the moment it's planned for last week of September. Yeah, last week of September. The works have to finish either way by the last week of September, because we're not allowed to work in the watercourse past that period. So wherever we're at with it, we need to withdraw from site in relation to all the materials, etc. But equally, if we get ahead of schedule on the programme, that might be brought forward in relation to the short-term road closure. In September sometime, we'll do exactly the same process which we've done done again, go through bids, notify all the sort of like local businesses, etc., around the implications of what those dates are going to be. But we won't be able to clarify that until probably about a week before the works are close to finishing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, just one other question. When you're talking about access for deliveries to businesses, am I right in assuming that that means no public parking along there during that period?
You are not right to assume. Basically, if the public have parked in that vicinity in the evening, or actually they've parked early during the day, pre 8 o'clock, even though obviously it is in principle 45-minute stay, we do know we have challenges in relation to enforcement in that area. We have arranged a system which will be taking possession of the parking bays for that week's closure on the right hand side as you drive down the one-way system, which means you'll then have the ability to drive up Market Road on where the parked areas would be on the right hand side, so effectively where the loading bays, unloading bays are for Butcher's Hall, and then come through and reverse back on the one-way system to go back basically on the middle of the road, and then literally we'll take possession of the last 3 or 4 bays on the left hand side, which we have to take possession of to allow people to go out, because we've got the ship's container or the welfare container by the Guildhall toilets at the moment, if that makes sense.
I have several residents who have made the feeling known to me about Warwick Road at the best of times, so no doubt I shall be approached again.
You are correct.
Thank you very much.
So, subject to everything going as it should do in relation to deliveries, etc.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions to the General Manager? No? Okay, thank you very much. Next report, Pannier Market. Again, you should have read that. Any questions on that? Councillor Ewings.
Just going back to the parking on Market Road, I take it the Pannier Market traders, there will be announcements if they have parked, would they kindly move?
Within reason, it is quite difficult to enforce Market Road currently. So whether it's public, whether it's traders, whether it's whoever parking on Market Road, until we actually enter into phase 2, which is one of my priority projects that we're looking at doing the procurement side on, and we've done the resurfacing and line marking. At the point that that's achieved, we're able to enforce a road, or I should say Devon County Council will have the ability to enforce a road without challenge.
Councillor Mann, and then the clerk, please.
Sorry, are you talking to that point? Yes.
No, well, that's right.
It was just to say, obviously, anything which is causing an obstruction, either to the contractors in the discharge of their contract, or indeed which is causing problems in relation to the free movement of pedestrians and vehicles which need necessary access, will need to be removed. So it's not by any means a free-for-all. If people are not adhering to what is safe and sensible and reasonable, we will need to address that.
Thank you. Councillor Mann.
I just thought this might be the place to address one of the questions around benches in particular, which was around Bedford Square. I just wanted to confirm that the current state of play is that a couple of benches have already been reinstalled, and that after the scaffolding is going up, that you're going to look at where we can still potentially put additional benches.
The last sentence is the most important, which is potential potentially look at where we can reinstall benches. Now, to give a little bit of background with this project was actually planned for July, and we have regularly reported on it. We have communicated through the consultative groups, etc., like the Town Hall and Markets consultative groups, where all different stakeholders come to that meeting. So they have been appraised on a regular basis around the programming of the works. Now, right at the last minute, there was a council indication that there would be a preference to actually take the opportunity, once final accounts have been confirmed, to actually potentially repoint the town hall as well as undertake plasticising works and roofing works. So we actually did a re-tender exercise on the submitted tenders with the two preferred lower tenderers to actually include that works, which is an extra 60k's worth of works. Now, there is quite a tight window to complete these works because we want them completed by the end of September, so to enable stuff like Goose Fair, Christmas lights, trees and lights, etc. to happen on Town Hall and on Bedford Square. So to actually include the repointing works, at the point we were able to secure the funds, we then went down the route of having to bring the programme forward by an extra 6 weeks. So instead of starting in July, we started last week, or week before, last week I think it was. The implications of that meant that we had a pre-start meeting 2 weeks prior to starting on site, when you usually have a mobilisation period of about 6 weeks prior to starting on site for any of those larger contracts. And for that whole 2 weeks, we were in the process of discussing and liaising around the scaffold design, because the scaffold design you're not able to actually fix into the building itself because it's Herwick stone, and equally we weren't allowed to hook over onto the crenellations. So the implications of that meant that we had to put bracing on the scaffolding, which actually meant that the scaffolding is an extra 3 metres wider than what normally would have been, which would have been 1.5 metres. So last week, currently this week, I've had 2 meetings today about the scaffold design. The process is fluid in relation to what we can achieve and what we're trying to achieve. Being reactive, we relocated DFIB as soon as we could, so the DFIB now is moved off for Town Hall and fixed onto the front of the fencing. At the point that we felt we were comfortable and able, like Councillor Mann said, we reinstated a further 2 benches back onto the square, which was by the small bus stop in that location. Part of my meeting today was working out how best to accommodate the main route on the right-hand side into the Pannier Market, because obviously we need bracing, we also need fire access, etc. Where we need to actually be able to ensure that a fire engine can get close enough to run the 50-metre hose out to the Pannier Market, which isn't achievable by going in the exit for all the runs that they need to get to, so they do need access from the front elevation. Equally, we're looking at how we can achieve the bracing works and accommodate the DDA access on the side of the Town Hall in relation to the lift room, where public can have free flow in and out of that space without having to go through a site access. We're also looking at accommodating aspects like advertising boards that were on the front of the Town Hall notice boards, and where we can relocate that for notification of meetings. Part of the process will be at the point that we have got all the scaffolding up, which will probably take about another 2.5 to 3 weeks. Will be at that point we'll look at whether we can accommodate on Bedford Square any more benches again, and how that works with allowing the contractor to have safe, accessible site which is continually secured. Equally, as some of you will notice on the scaffolding, or might have noticed, we then, if we are looking at putting benches back on the square, the ideal locations maybe will be against the Harris fencing. On certain locations, we flipped the Harris fencing up already in foresight of thinking about putting benches back, because we need to actually increase the height of the Harris fencing from 3 metres to 4.5 to ensure that people can't stand on the benches and then get over and get onto the scaffolding. So it's not quite as simple as the principles of you taking benches off a square, why haven't you thought about that? We have thought about that, but there's a whole different scenario, which is a backstory to this project. As I said, I will look at trying to reinstate some benches on the square. Equally, I'd need to look at our commitment to users of the square, whether that be hirers that have already committed, farmers market, Miss Ivy events, etc., to ensure that, considering we've now had to put bracing on, they have probably reduced on their footprint by a quarter of the usable space. And I need to make sure that we can, as best we can, support their events and activities as well, so that they aren't detrimentally affected by the works in the short term. So I don't intend to put anything else back on the square at this stage, but I will review the situation in about 3 weeks' time, at the point that the scaffolding's finished. If that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Works Department report. Again enclosed. Any questions, comments? Councillor Barry Smith, please.
There's an item down here that the Works Manager has put in, indicating that the Works Department are going to be working on overgrowth trees, self-seeded trees, on the old railway track, Pixton Lane, which were impacted on some of the industrial estates on the other side. The Works Department regularly carried out excellent works. Hardly any of it commented on or noticed. I think the work that they've done down there has been brilliant. They've done an extremely good job, and I'd just like to make it.
Okay, good. I'm sure that will be passed on to them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and finally, Town Hall and Butchers Hall report enclosed. Any observations on that? Yes, Councillor Hipsey, please.
Mr Mayor, I'm not sure. I was going to bring this up. Where are we? I was going to bring this up with the Pannier Market report. Do we have a Pannier Market report, or did I miss something?
You missed that one, but never mind. You can bring it up.
I would literally just like to congratulate the Market Reeve and his team for an excellent couple of days with the garden show. I think that was helped by the weather, obviously, but I think it was a very successful event, and well done to all involved. It's really good.
There were huge numbers on the first day, and talking to the traders on the second day, they'd all done very well. They were very happy. Councillor Mann.
I just wanted to ask on the Town Hall and Butchers Hall report. I had asked for the council to be presented with the new literature advertising the Town Hall, and I don't think we've ever seen it officially. Or has anybody else received the new brochure that was designed by the Town Hall manager? With the prices and the advertising and the...
No.
So if we could get a copy of that to the council, please.
Certainly.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Right, finance and other matters. Report from the assistant to the town clerk. Anything more you want to add at this stage? No. Any questions? Councillor Ewing?
May not be really relevant. Some of the courses we've all signed, well, I've signed up to, do we get further notification of joining and all the rest of it?
You'll receive your joining instructions when I have them. I'll forward them on.
Right.
I forward them on as I receive them.
Okay, and thank you very much for all the dates. I have duly noted.
Thank you. Notes of the Whitchurch Down Consultative Group meeting on the 25th of April. Okay, so have those as received. Okay, any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies? Anybody want to tell us anything that they've been to or... Yes, Councillor Martin, please.
Yeah, recently been to the Southern Link Committee Council, and generally it was about training of new councillors. So the question was raised as to what sort of training the new councillors might have, and they've got a pot of money. They seem to be they've got a committee to sort out amongst parishes, and I was wondering what part Tavistock Town Council would play in that. Would it have a separate agenda, or would that be a cumulative effort in terms of the new councillors? Thank you.
Does Jan or you, Carl, want to address that?
Excuse me, yeah, no, happy to, Mr Mayor. The funds that they've got are the residue of something which was called the Town and Parish Fund, which was jointly funded by West Devon Borough Council and Devon County Council. It was introduced originally very much with a view to supporting those parish councils in particular, which didn't have access to the kind of budgets that the town councils would have in terms of putting in place a training programme. Didn't mean to say it was restricted to their use, but it was open to the use of all. But it was very much a focus around how you could support and grow capacity within those councils who perhaps wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to access training beforehand. Historically, we've bought into some of that, so we make their training courses available on the same basis as we do all the other training courses. As training courses emerge from that, you will have opportunities to attend those if you haven't already received that training as part of the induction and early developmental programme provided by the Town Council. So you will have the same opportunities as everybody else in relation to that. What you may find, though, is that some of those are already picked up in the training which is delivered through Devon Association of Local Councils. There should also be some crossover where hopefully if the Borough Council are able to provide bespoke planning training and bespoke standards and code of conduct training, whereby we will all defer into that, because of course the Borough Council is responsible as both the planning authority and the authority which engages the monitoring officer who is responsible for standards in local government within our sector. So you won't lose any opportunity, but it's very much something which has been run historically by a grouping of representatives of various councils which have changed from time to time. I think the lead member, I won't mention his name, so in public session, but has been incredibly active in that for a considerable period of time now, and a great deal of credit goes to him, who's not a member of this council, but in terms of actually keeping it on the agenda, and I think this meeting was one where he handed over the baton to the next generation. Thank you.
Councillor Hipsey.
Mr Mayor, I attended a meeting of the bid company at the end of last week. A lot of the discussion revolved around the material aspects that we discussed earlier on. I will follow that up sometime this week with a written report.
Thank you very much. The training generally, I mean, you know, some of the training that's put on is very good. So particularly if you've not experienced some of the areas they're training, then do the free, go on them.
I mean, I suppose generally the concern was that their budget was limited amongst 6 or 7 parishes, and if there was any duplication, you know, then the Tavistock Town Council may provide their own element of training in isolation of theirs. I'm not sure how that would pan out, so I was just concerned that their limited resources might be spread a bit too far in relation to the new councillors for Tavistock Town Council, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, feedback from members following their any other attendance at training sessions? There probably hasn't been any really yet. No? Okay. Right, Devon County Council update is provided by Councillor Deb O'Sellis, who's in the back, and as I said earlier, has become Deputy Mayor of West Devon today, so congratulations. You've all read that. Any particular burning questions? Councillor Jeff Moody.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, I just wanted to ask, I was reading the Devon County Council bulletin that we received through West Devon and also from Town Council. It was to do with the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit schemes in Devon. I was interested to see that there were 57 applications throughout Devon, and 6 were chosen for 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. But what I'm a little confused about, I'd like to get some clarification, is that it suggested in the bulletin that all committees back in January, unless I wasn't around at that time, would be consulted by their county councillor and fed back as part of this scheme. I'm not aware that that was ever done, I've spoken to a few other councillors, and nobody seems to have known much about it. But it would be nice to know when will Tavistock be included into a consultation about 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in town. I know for one, Banwell Street would be a prime example candidate, but I'm sure there are other places within Tavistock that could do with particularly residential streets with a 20-mile-an-hour zone. Thank you.
Councillor Sellis, do you?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, Councillor Moody. I didn't bring it to the attention of the Town Council because there was a lot of applications and what have you. That doesn't mean to say that I would not do that. It was really, there was quite a lot of discussion going on it. There was areas in Devon where they've had the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits and now they're actually wanting to get rid of them. So I felt it was wise to just see how things go so that we've got more information so we can make better decisions once we have more information about it. I think that if members may be interested to know that there have been quite a lot of speed checks done throughout residential areas in Tavistock, and the average speeds tend to be about 15 to 18 miles an hour. Occasionally you will get some that speed about 35 miles an hour. However, evidence may suggest that you'd still get people that would do that even if the speed limit were 5 miles an hour. So, such is human nature. So, certainly I've listened to what you're saying there, and I'd be, you know, there's going to be quite a lot of discussions from Devon County Council with the potential of on-street car parking, 20 miles an hour. So I think that as a new council, we're going to have a lot of shared working. Is that fair enough, Councillor Moody?
Thank you very much. Yes, I look forward to the consultation period as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Venning.
My concern is it's talking about potholes. It says it's taken view that they're going to be fixing lane, Camden Door, etc. But it also says that some of them is going to be put back to later in the financial year. We've got the idea when we're going to start doing around Drake statue and places like that. I mean, it's like a few of them there at the moment.
I think you're very polite. I think it's absolutely dreadful, and everybody, you know, nobody's going to disagree on that. And as I put in the report, I mean, let's face it, round Drake statue was pretty bad anyway, before the sub-zero temperatures and then that torrential rain, the heaviest rain in 40 years. So, yeah, it is awful. I don't know, and I have tried to get more exact information and timeframes for residents and for councillors, but I haven't been able to get exact ones. But if I do get it, I'll just send it to you, because I'm working. It'll make all our lives so much easier, because everyone, all of us, are being affected by the state of the roads.
Yeah,
so I do.
The statement says it could be back to potholing, could be put back to later in the financial year. When they put some complete around the money, so it won't get done.
It better jolly well had get done. I mean, those are earmarked to be done. So.
What have you got down there earmarked?
Yeah, well, they're in the plan apparently, and I've tried, as I say, I've tried to really hold their feet to the flame and say when, but I haven't been able to find out. We've got 8,000 miles of road, as you know, and in fact, our potholes, although they're horrendous, are not as bad as some areas, because the geology in this area is better than in some other areas in Devon, where the base might be sandy, for example, or softer, whereas we tend to be granite. So there are other areas where they've got huge, I mean, whoppo holes.
I understand that, but I was just thinking the fact that not last week, but the week before, it cost me £172 to repair councilman for my fault.
Well, that's awful. And have you made a claim?
No, and if you were going to make any claims, you can't prove that it's a fault, isn't it?
Ah, right. Well, you know, because I know that there are lots of claims and lots of people do.
So there are so many faults, you could be doing exactly what fault.
No, well, I'm very, very sorry to hear about that because that's dreadful. I know I go really cautiously, and I'm not saying you didn't, but...
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Councillor Johnson, please, then Councillor Ewings.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is also about potholes. It was the single thing that was the most raised issue when I was campaigning in the election. People in Tavistock South West are absolutely fed up with the potholes, as everybody in this room, I think, tonight. I just wonder if the County Council are going to look at the quality of the work that they do when they repair the potholes. So often they repair a pothole and it's not very long before it needs repairing again. I think the whole thing needs looking at. I think we need, you know, to step back and maybe think, can we do this better? There's going to be a lot more money, but just throwing money at it and doing the same thing again, I don't think it's going to help matters really. I mean, there are better systems. There are a couple of probably culverts or drains that have gone in this town that they're continually doing. One's out on Mountain Road. And the whole thing needs digging up and doing properly, but just throwing some more money on top of it and rolling it out is not good. You know, you look at it and you think, well, in another 2 months that's going to be doing it again. So we really do need to look at this really thoroughly, and just throwing more money at it and doing the same old thing again, I don't think it's working very well.
Do you want me to respond?
Hang on a
to
minute,
that?
Eva,
Councillor Ewings, it's probably the same.
because mine sort of follows on through. There are potholes. The work has been done, but there's a pothole beside it, and they're not allowed to do it because they haven't got permission. It's not on the list. Can there be a system, Councillor Sellis, that in that geographic area we can see that work needs doing? Oh, but there's one there that maybe is not on that worksheet for that day. The amount of work time and vehicle usage for carbon emissions, etc., that is wasted by these poor chaps going to, 1 or 2, but 3 and 4 are down the road and they can't do it. It does need, as Councillor Mrs Johnson has just said, it's like a complete overhaul and perspective, because there are so many potholes that have had work done to them, and then, as we say, it either freezes, or when they did the work on the pothole, it was already wet inside from rain or whatever. They've put the stuff down, and once the weather changes, either the tar macadam has expanded and it's broken up, or the heat has done it. So it just needs an overhaul. And I know it's easy for us to pop shots at you, and I know you're heartily sick of the subject, as will every county councillor in Devon, and I hate to say it, some of the roads in Kent are worse than here, as I drive them regularly, and we know there's other parts of the country it's not good. Overall, it's probably a government thing to look at, the Department of Transport to look at it properly. And going on from Councillor Venning's point, I know of a firm of mechanics, whatever you want to call them. Most of their business now is coming from people who've had bits of their car get damaged through potholes. And they've said it is incredible, the number that's coming through the doors. This one who I know has said that's all he has seen recently is cars damaged by potholes. And I know you can't answer all of that, Councillor Sellis, but I think it's just, as Councillor Mrs Johnson said, to me also, it was one of the biggest things on the doorstep. And I would imagine every councillor in this room will agree with that if they went canvassing, that potholes, and yet you have to say, it's not us, it's the county councillor. Yeah, so we do understand that it's popping at you, but it's not meant that way. It is meant the influence you can have within the county hall and the county hall structure of how whoever is the lead for that. Is that Councillor Hughes or Councillor Davies? Hughes. Well, needs lobbying well and truly, and we would really appreciate in Tavistock, as I'm sure every county councillor gets the same thing, could you please just go and change the system? Thank you.
Good, thank you. I think everybody's in agreement. Absolutely. Councillor Hepsey, please.
I'll pose this question to Councillor Sellis of Devon County, although it might be better pointed at West Devon, but obviously we have a few West Devon double hatters around here. I seem to remember that way back when the Emden Grange development was first proposed, that the 89 bus was scheduled to stop up there. I might be wrong, but it's not stopping up there. And I wonder if somebody could perhaps look into it and see if that could be arranged. It seems like a logical thing for me to do, because there are a lot of there are a lot of young mums up there. I've seen them pushing their prams up the hill, and it seems to me that number 89 bus would be a fantastic thing to change their lives and help them. So, as I said, I'm not particularly throwing this at you, Deba, but I just thought I'd bring it up. And
Councillor Ewings may have an answer.
Okay, thanks.
The tour site on the top of Callington Road is also due to receive a bus service under the Section 106, and I had inquired about that and have sent Councillor Mrs Johnson the information I have received. The Section 106 for that part of Tavistock has not been able to commence because they can't get bus drivers, and there's a couple of other issues that Devon County are having to provide the service, which has meant that Emden Grange isn't getting their bit of the bus service, and the tours, it hasn't even started yet. There are no bus stops up there, which has also got to be agreed with DCC, and I received that email last week.
Thank you.
Hope that helps, councillors.
Thank you. Right, thank you very much. Do you want to speak again, Deborah?
Right. Thank you. Well, if I may take the bus service first. I'm delighted that this has been raised because only last week I visited the Tavistock bus depot with Councillor Andrea Davis and a senior officer who works with the bus service, and also two representatives of Transition Tavistock. We're mentioning active travel, and there's an immense amount of work. I tell you, we have got a terrific amount of shared working to do this next 4 years. We've, well, it will be for the next 2 years for me as county councillor. And we're looking, we're trying to increase the use of buses. However, as Councillor Ewing has just said, there is a shortage of drivers, and certainly since the pandemic, the uptake of people using the buses has not been as big as one would hope for to make it economically viable. As you see in my report, the standard rate for a bus fare is £2, and that's going to go to October, and then it's going to be £2.50. So we are actively trying to get more people to use buses. And what I couldn't understand was why the infrastructure isn't in the first place. For example, the kids on Callington Road have to cross the road twice. And that's lunacy, and I'm really, really cross about that. And I tried to point that out in 2009 to 2010, and I was actually told to sit down and be quiet. It really makes me cross that you don't have the infrastructure, and it's really scary seeing some of the kids that are walking down there and they can't be bothered to use the crossing, and then they'll nip across. So I think the whole issue about buses and walking and everything, and I think Transition Tavistock needs to be congratulated too, and the helpers that did the map. You know, we've all been given the walk, well, that's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? So there's a lot of work going on, so I'd just plant that seed that that would be welcome to work with other councillors, both in the borough and in the town council, because there's a heck of a lot of work that needs doing. Regarding the potholes, yeah, it's me. I agree. The things I got was two subjects were boats and potholes. And neither really boats. Yeah, I got quite a lot about immigration and what have you. And I said, well, I can give you the MP's details. You know, a bit of a rugby pass there, hospital pass. As for the potholes, there's loads of research going into how to make the potholes better. And there's a dragon, it's called a dragon, where they breathe fire and then put the tarmac in, and apparently that's quite good. There's also, I've forgotten the name of it, I'm sorry, I'm not a complete anorak on road maintenance. However, this is one which you just touched on it, Councillor Ewings, where it's wet. You can actually dry it and then seal, and there's a different machine which apparently is doing really well, and there have been actually thousands and thousands of potholes in Devon County filled in since the weather's been better. They're working double shifts, so I don't know when our time has come, but you know very well that I support you. I do lobby, we all lobby, right cross-party. Except one person said, who wasn't of my political persuasion, who said, oh, well, potholes are okay, it's traffic calming. I thought, don't say that to a retired intensive care nurse. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you. We do value the fact that you come, Councillor Sellis. I hope it can carry on.
I'm sorry I missed the last one, but I haven't.
Don't worry. Right. We haven't got a report today from Councillor Moody for West Devon, though I understand that you've emailed the clerk to say that in future you're going to send us a written report, which is great.
Mr. Mayor, may I just say, I thought that it was a little bit too previous giving a report this evening, but certainly on the 9th I would, because we've only just had our annual meeting today, as you can understand. And congratulations to the new leader of West Devon.
Yeah, indeed. Right, thank you. Anyway, we value if you can get reports to us, that would be great. Right, thank you. Now we're going to part two. Okay, can I explain to the ladies at the back? This now is the confidential bit. I think she's telling them.